now.
That's what you said.
It was a delay. It's okay.
All right, Kamala.
It's okay.
Can we try it again? Let's try it again.
Let's do it again.
All right, welcome to another episode of The Current Status. My name is Holly Lehman. You can find me on Twitter at Lehman__Holly, and I would love to introduce our batch of hostesses. Teresa?
Hi, everyone. My name's Teresa Miller, and you can find me on Twitter as at 24/7 IT Connect. Super excited about today's show. But we also have a couple more introductions. So, Pumala?
Hey, everyone. It's Exchange Goddess. And, you can find me on the Twitters as at Exchange Goddess. And yes, it is my real name. And I'm going to hand it back off to Holly to introduce our guest today.
That's right. First, let's say hi to John. John, thank you for joining today.
Hey, John.
And I am excited to have a friend of mine and this amazing woman in tech, Melissa, Chief Penguin from IBM and World Traveler. Melissa, thank you for joining the show today. It's your turn. Take it over. It's all about you.
Unmute.
I just said everything I needed to say. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. So hopefully while I'm talking, they're not going to make me put my mask on, but they might because I'm out in a public
It's all right if they do.
Yeah, it's all right if they do because we all want to be safe and healthy and follow the rules. So I'm Melissa Sassy, and you can find me at Mentor Africa with the K on the Twitter. But yeah, I'm Melissa Sassy, and I run a program at IBM called the IBM Hyper Protect Accelerator, and I do a whole lot of other fun stuff that I'm happy to talk about talk about me, talk about all of us together.
So we have you on the show. We're super excited, all masked up and everything out next to the ocean. One of the biggest things, you're doing so many things right now, Melissa. Yep, look at that view. Don't make us jealous. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Words for you, Melissa, but I'm not going to say it on the air because I can get
I know exactly what you're getting ready to say.
So here's the thing. You do so many things. You've got so many projects. You are such an inspiration to women in tech, and we can get into all of it. But one of the biggest things, and obviously most relevant, CodeTheCurve. Tell us about that. What is it about? What is happening? Tell us about the judging and what came out of it and who participated. Go. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Cool. So I do a lot of work with the UN. And when this whole, COVID thing started happening, we're all kind of adjusting to the new norm of life. And, obviously all of our lives have changed. And, many of us, are balancing, kids and family and all of the things that we have to do in life. And I thought, what can I do? What can I personally do? Whether that's in my professional capacity or, me personally. And so I sat there for a little bit and I thought, I've got all this digital skills content, both as kind of me as a person, as well as within my, broader capacity at IBM. And I thought, well, who can I do this with? And what could I do? And so I reached out to my friends at UNESCO. I said, hey, I've got all this content. We've got all this content. I've run a gazillion hackathons in my life. I'll tell you about my hackathon journey in a bit, because I actually have the career that I have today because of participating in a Microsoft hackathon, which again I'll talk about in a second.
Nice.
Yeah, when I spoke to the guys at UNESCO, the gang at UNESCO, they said, what if we did a hackathon together that was all about fighting back against COVID-19? And so we kind of brainstormed things a little bit to figure out what might that look like. And so we ended up creating this hackathon called CodeTheCurve. And essentially it was all about fighting back against COVID-19 by creating technical or data science solutions around education, around health and social issues, and data. naturally that's not going to solve every single issue that we have, and it's not about how do we as technologists come out and create a vaccine. As technologists, that's not our place in the world. But we thought, what could we do? How could we make a difference? And at that time, and I don't know what the numbers are now, but at that time there were 1.5 billion young people at home due to COVID-19 school closures. Many students from around the world are still at home. My kids have not went to school since this whole thing happened. My children live in North Africa, and I looked and I thought, my kids are being left behind, and many parents are not able to, teach their kids and balance it with work, or even teach their kids if they even wanted to. So I thought, what could we do? We set up this hackathon where we ended up having 200 teams apply in a week, in 9 days.
That's fantastic. That's a great level of interest.
All over the world.
Wow.
Every single continent. Well, maybe Antarctica was not included in there, but anyway.
They seem to be missing from everything we talk about.
I know. It's the continent really doesn't want to join the party.
I don't know. So yeah, we had just scores of people sign up to take part. We selected 40 teams, and almost all of the teams completed all of the online learning and finished the hackathon. I think like 34, 36, something like that, ended up submitting at the end of it. We had like 20 hours of online training and webinars where we ended up working together with UNESCO and SAP and about 20 different partners, from Internet Society to all, just scores of different partners that helped us run the hackathon itself, helped us run the online learning. We ended up having, of those 34, 36 teams that submitted, there were like 170 people from like 25 different countries, creating just some amazing solutions, which we can talk about the solutions in a second. But
yeah, I would love to hear about it.
Well, I can say, Melissa, I had the privilege of being one of those judges, and that was, I cried. I literally cried at seeing some of the ways that people were using technology to better this really sad situation that we're in. And as a mom of two, to think about how brilliant these minds are. And I think that it was a substantial eye-opening moment because you went global. We came with all these different concepts that we might not have thought about if we just kept it to one specific area. And the age range, the dynamic, the diversity of these people and humans that came with these great ideas. I found myself just blown away. And I want to say thank you for letting me be a part of it, because to see where people are taking this epidemic, using tech to better the world, it was really powerful. And you started this. This was awesome.
So now I need to know what happened. What are some of these projects?
Yeah, like that's we want to know the results.
It's the ultimate teaser you just gave us.
Well, that was just amazing. So one of the most exciting pieces was like just seeing the breadth and depth of all of the different solutions that were created. I don't, it depends upon the week. I'm not usually a big crybaby, but I actually cried when I watched one of the videos, and it was about how this guy like failed his SATs and he didn't do a good job in school because he didn't have access to preparation for the test, and he didn't end up being able to fulfill some of the dreams that he had in his life, and he wanted to open up education for people in his community, but they don't really have access to high bandwidth. They don't have access to high-speed broadband, and so he came up with this solution about coming up with a WhatsApp, a WhatsApp group, but based on kind of mentorship through WhatsApp. That was a pretty cool solution, and he did not win, but of the 3 winners, one created a COVID solution that it looks at X-rays and looks to identify cases of COVID. And they had just some really cool, technical components that they incorporated into the solution with machine learning and, predictive modeling and data and analytics, cloud computing. That part was pretty cool. And if you think about the way that the teams were created, everyone had to have at least one person under the age of, I think it was 26, 25, 26. I can't remember what I said in the rules. It was something like that. So everyone had at least one young person. And then everyone had to have at least one male and one female. So, from a gender diversity perspective, people were, very much encouraged and required to think about, age diversity. And obviously, there are many different kinds of diversity that we can think about. And we really did our best to try to encourage that as well as require it. So those are a couple solutions. One of the other solutions was using AI to look at, small businesses, because we all know, like, left and right, small businesses are failing. And, with COVID-19 closures, small business owners are trying to figure out, what do they have access to in terms of government funding or other types of grants and solutions that can help them stay alive and keep them, in a position to, feed their families. So they created an AI solution that looks at the specific business types and matches them with funding opportunities. Again, incorporating AI or machine learning, data and analytics, cloud computing, all kinds of really cool things. The last one that I'm going to share, because I know it's kind of hard to keep up with all these different projects, but this one was just it touched me. And one of the reasons it touched me is because this young person who participated, she just graduated from high school. And she beat out adults, people who had, careers, PhDs. And that was, for me, really inspiring, because we all talk about, empowering young people and empowering youth, and the important role that young people play to, kind of transition the world from being consumers of technology into, creators, makers, and doers empowered by technology. So she created a solution that allows people to exercise using an app. So imagine you're on a treadmill or whatever, and this app enables you through a VR solution to go and check out cultural heritage sites. So you're, kind of getting out of your surroundings, and you're going and visiting the world while you're exercising. So it's kind of looking at this, the multiple challenges that we have right now. I know, me personally, I'm not as active as I should be. Many of us are stuck at home, and what do we do with that energy? And many of us, even though I am in a beautiful place right now, which, by the way, I'm going to show you the water again.
Love it. Jealous.
But many of us don't have access to the water right next to them. And again, I'm very fortunate that I do. But many of us need that VR solution that will enable us to feel like we're somewhere else, that we have the ocean or the sea or a lake or a stream or whatever next to us. So
We have
So
a
when
question.
I
I was going to say, we have a question from the audience. John Flores, he asked, "What are your thoughts on the Folding at Home project?" I know that was going on this spring during.
Help me. Folding
So-
at home.
Okay, so it's a project where organizations could take unused compute and resources from their enterprises. So actually my team did this at Cohesity because we were running all the trade shows, and but all of a sudden that equipment wasn't needed anymore. So by donating it to the Folding at Home project, essentially we're allowing access to that compute and those resources for COVID.
Yeah. Okay, I just didn't know the name of it. So it's where you've got those extra computing resources, and you're donating those compute resources to, COVID-19 response or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just didn't know the name of the project. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with all of the cool things, that are happening in the
Yeah,
world. But
no
yeah, of
worries.
course, I think there are many things that, the world could and should be doing. And I think enabling people to have access to excess compute. Yeah, of course. I think there's a hell of a lot more all of us could and should be doing, but we all have Zoom fatigue, or whatever the right word is. We all are, kind of trying to figure out, how do we balance our mental health, our emotional health, our relationships are strained. So, what can we do, professionally or personally to, solve this big wicked challenge and wake up and feel okay, you know?
So, Melissa, I have a question for you. So, it's on the topic of COVID and tech. I would love to know. You also have another side project where
Yeah,
you, because
I know,
of
guess what? You
your,
side hustle a lot, girl.
yeah, you do, and it's always for the good of others, and it's based on your amazing story with your children. And I'm not going to tell too much because I want you to tell your story. But what does your Mentor Nations, what does that look like now with this new reality of COVID? How has it changed your effort? What are you doing? Tell us about it, and tell us your story, right? You have an amazing story and how you used it for the good of tech and the good of others.
Yeah, so I think a couple of different things. My children my children and I are victims of parental kidnapping. And I know that's kind of like a super emotional conversation to have in a work tech call. And I guess this is we all bring our personal lives into work, and our professional lives into work. And sometimes it's hard to I don't know, bifurcate those two things, or to split them apart. For me, when this happened, and my children still aren't home, this happened more than 10 years ago, when they were 3, 5, and 8. They're now 18, 15. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they were 3, 5. Were they 3, 5, and 8? My brain is like mush now. I purposely kind of I don't know, put the timeline out of my head. And the reason I do that is, I never want to remember like exactly what month it happened, and exactly when it happened, because that's not a date you want to remember. You don't want to remember an anniversary or a birthday. You don't want to remember the day that your ex-husband decided to pick your kids up from school, and put them on a plane and take them to his home country. They're safe, they're healthy, they're normal, they're normal kids. That said, I just got a text from my daughter, telling me, Mom, he tells me I'm a bad person.
Mhm.
Am I a bad person? And I think we're all dealing with many things in our lives, and it's really hard to deal with the things that we have to deal with in life. And I think for me, I didn't handle it very well in the first 5 years that it happened, because I didn't know what to do with it. I couldn't get them back, and I didn't know what to do. Legally, I didn't have really any options, and the court system was very corrupt and challenging in Tunisia, which is where they are, sandwiched in between Algeria and Libya, the home of the Arab Spring. If you think about the Jasmine Revolution and kind of what transpired over the Middle East and Africa, some years ago, that's where it started, a few hours from their hometown. And, the first 5 years, I'm kind of like, I don't know, just going through the motions of life. And I had a lot of really wonderful friends who slept on my couch for almost a year, more than a year, because they're like, if we don't, I don't know if she's going to make it, because I didn't really have a reason. I didn't felt like I have or I didn't feel like I had a reason to live. And so over time, I figured out how to compartmentalize that, and, how to put it in its place, and it has its place now, but, it's still there, and it's not something that ever goes away. But when I was working at Microsoft, I just left Microsoft back in November of 2018. And, when I was at Microsoft, one of the things my daughter said to me was, Mommy, I'm learning Microsoft. And I'm like, what do you mean you're learning Microsoft? And I realized she was learning Word in her classroom without access to devices. And this kind of circles back to, combining both my personal and professional life, but also bringing something back to, circling us back to something I said earlier regarding hackathons. And, as I was looking at, my daughter's situation and realizing, hey, I work at Microsoft. I can solve this challenge of getting my daughter access to computers in our classroom, because I realized she did not have access to computers in our classroom. They had one for the whole class, 30, 40 kids going up and typing, file open, type, blah, blah, blah. So that, well, what can I do? And I realized that, we had scores of devices all over the place. And so I created this, hackathon project through the kind of employee, hackathon, initiatives that happen at Microsoft. And out of 4,000 teams, we won first place in the Inspired Me category for revolutionizing the way that the company dealt with devices. And as I started, kind of exploring things with this devices, I thought, wow, it's not just about having access to a physical device. It's not just about having access to the internet. It's also about skills and having, skills to make meaningful use of the internet. And that goes back to, how do you empower young people to be creators, makers, and doers empowered by technology, not just consumers. And so I started doing these programs of teaching young people to code, and young people to learn digital skills, and to think about starting their own companies and all the different things that are possible with technology. Ended up realizing, holy smokes, I have a company. So I launched that company. I got 2 different entities, one in the US and one in Tunisia. We now have a co-working space, a robotics lab, an IoT lab, and we've taught tens of thousands of young people to code in 12 countries.
Wow.
Well, your story is absolutely amazing, Melissa. And I love how you have taken something that could destroy a person, and you've taken it, flipped it, and you're using it for good. And now we're all sitting here having virtual happy hour, talking about it and sharing what you've done.
I like to say that it's like taking my worst nightmare and turning it into my superpower.
Well, you've empowered. You've used that negative energy in your life and turned it around and made it a positive energy, and you've empowered, yourself, but others as well. And it's so inspiring. I mean, just you've told me a story before when we were in Johannesburg, and I just feel like, wow, there's so much strength in you. And I love the fact that you keep spilling that strength over to everybody else. Like, there's so much goodness in you. And I'm so honored to be one of your friends. I hope I'm your friend.
That's the first time I heard that. And it is just wonderful. And it's, when you think about what people are going through now, and all of us are affected in different ways, it gives others strength. So thank you for sharing it.
It's I would say that it's hard. It's even harder now because I haven't seen my children in a year, and they're now 18, 15, and 13. My oldest is old enough to leave on her own if she wanted, legally. But I think one of the biggest challenges with that is she doesn't want to leave her little sister, and so she's conflicted with, do I stay or do I go?
Yeah, I can see that.
I could see that
and
too.
It's really hard for her. I mean, I can't imagine, being that age and having gone through this my entire life, so they're either going to have a really damn good, university application, application. What do you, the letters that you got to write,
Oh God, I forgot what those are called too.
I can't remember.
Letters of recommendation.
Yeah.
Whatever, the essay or whatever you got to write.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I had to do that.
I know. So I think they're going to have really good, essays for college. But, they're going to need a lot of counseling, and that's something that is very difficult to come by. And it's not something that's, kind of appreciated, if you will, in many parts of the world where,
it's a stigma.
Where mental health is important. And some days I handle it good. Some days not so much. I would say, honestly speaking, today is one of those not so good days, where I'm kind of, I'm in this beautiful place, but I'm by myself and I don't have my kids here. I don't have my family here. I'm by myself with my dog,
But I think that that's the one thing about, so 2 topics on that. One, I think that is where, if we were more open about, we're not okay today and that's okay, and giving each other grace and the ability to just have that mental shut off day. I had to have that yesterday. And then recover, and how do you handle it? And that second piece is, how do you handle it? You've taken something that is very hard and emotionally difficult, and you've empowered not only yourself, but you've empowered your children. And so you're setting an example of good and how to take a bad situation and not just make it better, but make it better for others. And that's what you've done with Mentor Nations. And I wonder, when I see all the work that you're doing with Mentor Nations, a lot of it was live and it was one-to-one. In this new reality that we have of masking up and virtual, how do you see Mentor Nations changing with this new reality?
We're figuring it out just like everybody else,
Yeah.
I don't have the, exact answer, but, we're going day by day, and, a lot of our stuff has moved virtual. Tunisia has done a really great job in terms of how they handled COVID-19 response, and is being, they're doing a lot of publicity around how well they've done, comparatively speaking. And, the center is open now. We follow kind of safe social distancing parameters, and masking up and stuff like that. But we're all going to figure out what do things look like next week, tomorrow. I know, for example, here I'm calling from, or I'm joining from Puerto Rico, and there was just a kind of announcement of today around what things are going to look like tomorrow. So as of tomorrow, the beaches and pool is closed, and this is something we didn't even know about a few hours ago.
Wow.
So everything is changing for all of us, and we're figuring it out day by day.
Well, I think you're handling it amazing.
Where's your drink? Did they ever bring you a drink, Melissa?
Yeah, it's
I must have missed it.
It's a passion fruit mojito.
Ooh.
So while we're talking about what we're drinking, I think you had something that you wanted to share with us, right?
Yes, I have finally my Alexander Valley Vineyards Rosé. I actually have a case of this in my dining room.
Wow.
It's my favorite rosé ever. I absolutely love it. It's like the perfect dry, crisp rosé. It'll probably be gone by next week, though.
The case or that bottle?
The case. Oh my God, the bottle's almost gone now. Okay.
So along with the beaches and pools being closed as of tomorrow, they put in place a kind of dry zone, meaning after 7 o'clock at night you can't get alcohol, and all the casinos are closed as of tomorrow. So people are kind of like, oh gosh, we're now
Wow.
going
So what is your game plan, Melissa?
Yeah, I know. What's your backup plan here?
I went and bought a bottle of wine before 7
Wait,
before I dialed in.
Wait, just a bottle?
Well, I can go get more tomorrow. It's all good. And I have a friend of mine who's bringing some sangria in a little while at like 8:30 tonight. It's like 7:30 my time here.
Just tweet if you need help.
Yeah, I think there's a symbol for it if you can't. I don't know what it is though. I think the Free Britney Spears crowd has told us.
Oh my gosh, what is that with all the fruit and the that's
gosh, yeah, the whole Britney thing.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to all figure out what the what the signal is, but I don't know what the signal is, so I don't. Yeah, hopefully I can speak and let you know if I need help.
I bet if you posted on the Britney thread that happened today, where tomorrow she's supposed to post fruit if she's in trouble, I bet if you put on that post, what is the symbol for I need wine, somebody in this thread will be able to answer your question.
I would think so.
Exactly.
Any questions, or were you gonna?
I was just gonna say, I think we need to wrap up. We're like just at the top of the half hour here, so
we got 2 minutes. We got 1.5 minutes left.
So just enough time to thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for sharing your story, and it was fantastic. And hearing what you did too with your IBM project was very cool. The outcome,
thank you,
so special.
Well, sharing your story with the world is important, and I want to say thank you for joining us today. We were like down to the wire of if you would have power or not, and you made it happen like you always do. So thank you so much for joining us, Melissa, and I'm excited to
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have
And
to have you
I
back
want to
again.
know.
Maybe we can do like an on-site reunion when like things are normal again.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
I got some beach houses we can visit.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
we'll have a reunion in Puerto Rico.
All right, good.
I'm
All
on
right,
that
everyone.
plane.
Thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. And that's the end of our show today.
Melissa, why are you so awesome?